I'm Sherry. Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be making a meatloaf. Now, I don't truly have a recipe for this meatloaf. I just started making it years ago, just with whatever I had in my kitchen at the time. I liked meatloaf. My husband liked meatloaf. Neither one of my sons liked it. But when my mother-in-law came to visit, one time I made meatloaf. She said it was the best she had ever eaten. And so every time she came after that, that was her request, please make me a meatloaf. And I did. But the thing is, it never turned out the same way twice because I just used whatever I have in my pantry. And you're gonna see that in a minute. Especially the spices. Some things stay the same, but the spices can be whatever you like. It's all about your personal preference. So I'm gonna start with showing you our ingredients. Here are the ingredients we'll be using. I have 2 pounds of ground beef. Now we source this from a local farmer, so it's excellent ground beef. I know it's the quality ingredients, so I know that makes anything taste better. We're going to use some quick oats, some garlic powder, some Italian seasoning, some paprika, some seasoned salt, some chili powder, tomato sauce, 2 eggs, part of a green pepper, and part of an onion. And again, and some regular salt and pepper. And again, I use whatever is in my pantry at the time. So these are the spices that I thought would be good in this dish. Now I'm gonna cut up my green pepper and my onion. I'm not a chef. I never learned how to cook that way. So you're going to see me butcher these, but please be kind because I don't claim to be a chef. I'm just making a meal for my family. Okay, I'm going to start mixing my ingredients. I'm going to start out with about maybe 3/4 cup of oatmeal, and these are minute oats, but I'm sure it wouldn't matter. It's just really a binder. And then I'm going to open my tomato sauce. And I do this because I like to let my oatmeal soak. I think that helps it. It helps it stay moist, and it just really gives it a good flavor. So, first thing I do is I pour, and this is just a 5-ounce can, I believe, of tomato sauce. And I always just put a little water in there. Again, waste not, want not, to get all that out. Then, like I said, I don't measure. This is garlic powder. I just shake. It's probably 1/4 teaspoon. Chili powder, about 1/4 teaspoon. Seasoned salt. This must be a new one. It's not wanting to come out. No, not new, but I don't know. It's not wanting to come out. So about that much, just maybe a teaspoon. Paprika, probably said that wrong, I'm from the South. About 1/2 teaspoon. And then some Italian seasoning. And that's probably about 1/2 teaspoon, okay? And then I go ahead and put my 2 eggs in here. And I put the whole egg. And I just break the yolk. And then I mix all this together. And you can see it's pretty liquidy. But that's what I want. I want it to be liquidy because I don't want a dry meatloaf. And to be honest, my meatloaf doesn't always stick together as good as some people's because of this, because I like to have it a little bit liquidy. All right, so now I've got to cut up my pepper and my onion. So really, I'm only going to use about half of this onion. So I'm just going to cut it down the middle there. Mom, we got to get you outside and get the snow. My green pepper. And I just go around it. And I'm going to do about that much green pepper. I think this is one of the reasons why my boy at all, hardly. Okay, so now I've got my peppers and onions in there, and I'm mixing all this up. Okay. Oh, I forgot my salt and pepper. I need to put some. Now, I'm not going to put much salt because I've got seasoned salt in there, and it'll give us quite a bit of salt. But we do like a lot of pepper at our house. So I'm putting pepper in here. Okay. I'm just going to cut open my ground beef with my kitchen shears. And put it in here. So again, 2 pounds of ground beef. And this was from a local farmer. All right, now here's where I go in with my hands. They have been washed. And I know a lot of people don't want you using your hands, but to me, they're your best cooking tool. It's what my grandmother used. It's what my mother used. So I know no other way of cooking without using my hands. It's just who I am. So I want to make sure I've got everything mixed. I can see there's some ground beef that doesn't have any seasoning on it. You can tell when you're, that's another reason to mix with your hands. You can pull it up, you can see, you can add. Now, the oatmeal is just what I like to use for the binding. You could use breadcrumbs. You could use panko. I mean, people use all kinds of things. Old bread, cracker crumbs, like saltines ground up. If you did that, I would definitely cut back on the salt. But again, all this is personal preference, and because it's my recipe, I just throw it together and pray it comes out okay. Usually it's fine. I've never had it where I thought, ooh, I can't eat this. That pepper was a little big, so I cut it in 2 with my fingers. Okay, so I'm gonna get my I'm gonna wash my hands and then get my loaf pan. Okay, and then this is a non-stick loaf pan, so I don't have to worry. And this honestly will have enough fat in it that this meatloaf will not stick. But you see, 2 pounds of ground beef is just the perfect amount to fill up a loaf pan. And I just kind of pat it down, and I'm gonna put it in the oven, and I'm gonna bake it for about an hour, but this will start to shrink. The ground beef will start to shrink. And as it does, it gets a layer of fat around it. So I will take it out after about 30 minutes and pour that fat off and then put it back in. So now my next step is I'm gonna put it in the oven for, like I said, probably I'm gonna set my timer for an hour, but at about 30 minutes, I'll take it back out. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. I've just taken my meatloaf out of the oven. Like I said, I like to pour off the fat at some point. It's been cooking for about 35 minutes and there will be some fat. And this one's not as much as most because it's a local farmer, but I just pour it down the side with the garbage disposal and run a bunch of hot water down there. I just think it keeps it from being so greasy. And you see how it kind of comes away from the sides a little bit. So I'm gonna put it back in the oven now, and it's gonna finish cooking for about 25 more minutes, and then we'll add our topping and bake that in. Okay, while the meatloaf is finishing up cooking, I'm gonna make the topping. I have about 1/2 cup of light brown sugar right here. And the only other ingredient is ketchup. And again, I don't really measure anything. I just kind of put it together, kind of stir it up. Some people add mustard. We like it just like this, but you could add mustard if you want a little bit of a tang. And don't mind the dishwater in the sink, please. I'm a cook that tries to clean as I go, so I've been washing up some of my dishes that I don't put in the dishwasher, but here it is. This is the consistency. It just, you want it, maybe I'll put just a little bit more, make it a little bit thinner, because you want to be able to just spread this on your meatloaf. It's just the topping of it. And here, and that's it. And so when our meatloaf is done cooking, it's about 10 more minutes, then I'll pull it out, put this on it, and put it back in the oven to brown up a little more. This meatloaf is cooked for about an hour now. You can see that it's pulling away from the sides all the way around. And one of the things I do is, for the second time, I pour off the fat. I just like to keep the fat off as much as possible. So I've got the fat poured off. You can see now it's just coming loose on all sides. And I showed you how I make my topping. So now all I do is I pour on my topping and try to get it as far as I can with just a spoon. And then I take my little spreader here, and you could just use the back of the spoon, honestly, but this does it a little better, and just go over all the top of it so every bit gets some of this topping. Now I'm gonna put it back in the oven and let this kind of caramelize a little bit. and we'll be back. I just took the meatloaf out of the oven, and as you can see, there's some caramelization along the edges. I like to let it sit for at least 30 minutes for it to rest and for the juices to flow back through it. Even though I did pour some fat out, there still is some in there. And so that would be how we would eat it in about 30 minutes. Thanks for watching today. This is just my meatloaf. Like I said, I just use whatever's in the pantry, so yours may taste different, or you might want to add what your family likes. But I know my mother-in-law said it's the best she had ever eaten. So I hope you have a great day. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.